Hello all, myself Devendra Itole, working as an assistant professor in ENTC Engineering Department from AISSMS Institute of Information Technology, Pune. Today we are going to study data transfer instructions of 8051 microcontroller. Here it's a summary of data transfer instructions depends on the addressing modes of 8051 microcontroller. In description we can see A, which indicates a accumulator, B indicates a B register, C indicates a carry flag bit, Rn refers to the register R0 to R7, @RI indicates the contents of 8-bit internal or external RAM pointed by the register R0 or R1, DPTR indicates a data pointer, direct indicates a direct address, and so on. Like SP indicates a stack pointer, PC indicates a program counter. Let us see these instructions in detail. First instruction is move A comma Rn, means move the content of Rn into the accumulator. It requires a 1 byte and 1 machine cycle. In move instruction, no flag is affected. Let us take an example, move A comma Rn. Before instruction, let us consider A equals to 01H and R1 equals to 02H. When the instruction get executed, content of R1 will move into the accumulator. So after the instruction, A will become a 02H. Same, move Rn comma A is there. It means move the content of A to the specified register Rn. Requires a 1 byte and 1 machine cycle. Example, move R1 comma A. So we can observe here, after the instruction get executed, R1 will become a 01H. Next, move A comma direct. It means copy the contents of direct address to the accumulator. It requires a 2 bytes and 1 machine cycle. As an example, move A comma 30H. So we can see before instruction, let us consider A equals to 01H and the content of memory location address 30H is 02H, and when the instruction get executed, the content of 30H will move into the A. So A will become a 02H. Then move direct comma A, means copy the contents of accumulator to the direct address. Example, move 30H comma A. It means the content of A, that is 01H, will move into the content of memory location address 30H. So after the instruction get executed, content of 30H will become a 01H. Next, move Rn comma direct. Copy the contents of direct address to the specified register Rn. It requires a 2 bytes and 2 machine cycles. Example, move R1 comma 30H. 30H is a direct address and R1 is a register. So before instruction, let us consider R1 is 01H and the content of 30H is 02H. So when the instruction get executed, R1 will become a 02H. Then move direct comma Rn. It means copy the contents of specified register Rn to the direct address. Example, move 30H comma R1. It means the content of R1, that is 01H, will move into the content of 30H after the instruction is get executed. Next, move @RI comma direct. It means copy the contents from direct address to the internal RAM location whose address is in RI. It requires a 2 bytes and 2 machine cycles. No flag is affected. As example, move @R1 comma 30H. It means the content of 30H will move into the content of the address which is pointed by the R1, that is 40H equals to 02H. Now after the instruction get executed, you can see content of 30H is 01H and content of 40H is also 01H. Likewise, move direct comma @ri. It means copy the contents of internal RAM location whose address is in ri into the direct address. Requires a 2 bytes and 2 machine cycles. Example, move 30h comma @r1. So before instruction, content of 30h is 01h and content of 40h is 02h, which is pointed by the register r1. And when the instruction get executed, after instruction, content of 30h and content of 40h will become 02h. Then move a comma @ri. It means move the content of the internal RAM location whose address is in ri to the accumulator. It requires a 1 byte and 1 machine cycle. Example, move a comma @r1. So before instruction, a is 01h, memory location address pointed by r1 is 30h and the content of 30h is 02h. So when the instruction get executed, a is 02h and r1 equals to 30h and content of 30h is equals to 02h remains same. Then move @ri comma a means copy the content of accumulator to the internal RAM location whose address is in ri. As example, move @r1 comma a. It means the content of a will move into the content of memory location address pointed by the r1. So after the instruction get executed, a will become a 02h. Then move a comma hash data means move the immediate data to the accumulator. Example, move a comma hash 02h. So 02h directly will move into the accumulator. So after the instruction, a will become a 02h. Next, move c a comma @a plus dptr. Here c indicates a internal. So it moves the byte of data from program memory whose address is the sum of the original 8-bit unsigned content of accumulator and 16-bit content of the data pointer dptr to the accumulator. It requires a 1 byte and 2 machine cycles. No flag is affected. Example, move c a comma @a plus dptr. So let us consider before instruction a is 04h, dptr is 1000h and the content of 1004h is 02h. After the instruction get executed, a plus dptr which becomes 1004 and in 1004 02h is there, so 02h will move into the register a. Now after the instruction get executed, a will become a 02h. Move x a comma @ri. X indicates a external. This instruction move the content from external memory from whose address is specified by ri 0 or 1 to the accumulator. Since ri can hold 8-bit address, using this instruction only up to 2 kilobytes of external memory can be addressed. So byte is 1, 2 machine cycle. Move x a comma @ri. So before instruction a is 01h and external memory address pointed by r1 is 30h, content of 30h is 02h. So after the instruction get executed, a will become a 02h and r1 will become a 30h. Next, move x @ri comma a. It means move the content from the accumulator to the external data memory whose address is specified by the ri, that is 0 or 1. Requires a 1 byte and 2 machine cycles. Example, move x @r1 comma a. It means content of a will move into the r1. Next, move x a comma @dptr. It moves the data from external data memory whose address is specified by the 16-bit data pointer to the accumulator. So as example, move x a comma enter dptr. In a 01h is there, dptr 1000 and the content of 1000h is 02h. So after the instruction get executed, content of 1000h will move into the accumulator. So accumulator will become a 02h. Then move x at the rate dptr comma a, which means move the data from accumulator to external data memory, whose address is specified by 16-bit data pointer. It requires 1 byte and 2 machine cycles. Move x at the rate dptr comma a. It means whatever content is there in the a will move into the content of external address 1000h. So after the instruction get executed, content of external memory address, that is 1000h, will become a 01h. Thank you.